we can talk about how the number one opens up the field for the underneath guys or the less heralded guys, but also if a number three receiver steps up, like that will also, one would think, create more open space for the WR1 and two to operate in. So if you had to, and this is early bird, right? This is speculative. We're 2 months away from the season, and it's not as though like Lincoln Riley and staff are going to figure everything out, but with that gauntlet of Missouri State, Georgia Southern, and Purdue out of the gate. Like, we're still going to be learning about what works and what doesn't in this receiver room on into late September and early October. So this is an early thing. We're not like, don't treat this as kind of, well, this is definitely how it's going to be. But if you had to make an assessment now, Ethan, who's the best bet to be that third option as a pass catcher who kind of breaks things open, who kind of will stretch the field or will, create openings and will create, diversions for opposing defenses, maybe the linebackers, maybe the safeties, that will enable Lane and Lemon to really rock and roll on the outside with more space, more freedom. If you had to pick one guy, who would that third option most likely be?
Well, I really, really hope it's a tight end, just because I really want to see Lincoln Riley open up the offense for the tight ends this year in kind of preparation for Mark Bowman coming in next year. So I want to see it be. I always kind of root for Lake McCree. I think that he's been pretty consistently underrated, and he's a guy who, when he does get the ball, he looks a lot better than people give him credit for. And he's just had, last year he kind of looked like he was going to be a big factor in the offense. He looked like one of Miller Moss's favorite targets, and then he got hurt, and then Miller Moss got removed. And I don't know if he developed that same chemistry with Mayava when he came back. So he would be the guy I'm kind of rooting for, just because it would be a good indication for our future. And also, it's, Lake McCree's been loyal to USC. He's been there for several years, and he's kind of seemed like he's going to break out a couple of times, but hasn't quite been able to make it happen. So if it's anybody, like, I hope it's him. And then, you got a couple of other guys at the tight end position too, like Walker Lyons and Joey Olson, that could also, if they have a good year, that would be great to see. In terms of the wide receiver position, because I think that's more the question you were asking, my guess would be Prince Strahan, because he's the transfer from Boise State. He just has a lot of experience. He was in an offense that made the college football playoff last year. However you feel about a Mountain West team automatically making the college football playoff, he was still on a college football playoff team, and a team that played, a pretty tough game in the college football playoff too. They looked like they belonged mostly. So, yeah, I mean, he's a guy who I would think, just because of the experience. If you want kind of a dark horse, I'd say Xavier Jordan, just because he's a younger guy who's shown some potential, and they've liked in practice and stuff like that. But Strahan as a wide receiver would be my best bet, and then I hope it's Lake McCree.